Morning, guys. I'm just getting us set up on the site. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks.
Great.
Awesome. Wonderful. Anyone have any exciting news or wins or feedback to share?
I cut the callus off my middle finger on my fretting hand with the B string, and so I sliced through the middle of that, and then the whole callus fell off, and it really hurts.
Oh man, that's not good. Sure. And is the callus from having taking a break from the guitar for a while, or?
No, I built it up again over the last 3 months, and so it was a really good callus,
Oh
and
shucks.
uh, and now it's disappeared. It's very sad.
So sorry to hear about that.
Also have a cold. It's really just everything's just happening this week.
Sure. And have you started playing with your new worship team yet?
In a week and a half. It's it's again not seriously well organized, and so we're starting the two new guitarists, and we're starting on creative night.
Yep.
And creative night, you turn up and then you start playing. There is no rehearsal or anything like that, which is possibly not an ideal first way to start in the new place. But whatever, we'll find out.
Sure.
I think it's a humility thing, maybe.
Yes, it's that's definitely one way to look at that for sure.
Oh man, throw you in the deep end.
So it's sink or
'Cause,
swim, and
it's like it's not
hopefully more
even.
swim.
Yeah, well, hopefully, but it's not even like the normal numpties from Sunday who don't know anything about music. It's everyone in the creative team, and that's your entire crowd. So, yay.
Sure, that's intense. Well, we hope it goes well, Mick. I'm sure. They say,
Yeah,
but we don't
thanks, mate.
rise to the level of our goals, but we fall to the level of our training, and hopefully your four
Well, that's what
twos.
worries me, right?
Your four twos. Well, you spent time on the four twos. So hopefully they can do the trick for you.
They've let me down this week though with that B string.
Sure, of course. Yeah, that's gonna be a challenge with those.
We believe in
Yeah,
you,
I'm
Mick.
playing.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Definitely keep us
Yeah, I was going
posted.
to say too that I'm playing a few electric songs this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after we've got our major youth camp, and with so many people away, either youth people who play in the band or people who lead,
Yes.
we're really short of musicians. So I've got to go back to acoustic and go full Joni Mitchell on the night.
Yeah, that's quite a change if you're used to all the electric playing, right?
Yeah, oh, it'll be fun. It'd be nice to get back to the acoustic again for just one day.
For sure. Go back to your roots for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, I'm gonna quickly do the screen share story here so that on Zoom it's gonna look better. Hopefully the stream has improved a little bit today because we keep tweaking settings. So you guys can
Yeah,
also.
the Zoom frame rate seems fine now.
All right. I was we have it set to 4K when we stream, just straight from the software we use, which is called Ecamm, and then that's been working fine. Obviously, when we just go straight to YouTube, but then I realized whenever I check my Zoom settings, that the computer seems to work harder than what it should, and then I realized it's set to 4K. So in that regard, it's actually going to be yeah, it's working too hard. So we've made that change, and I think it's at 1080 now. So hopefully, because obviously if the frame rate is better, it's better to see the frame rate intact with 1080 than a 4K, but then everything is out and it's not even giving what you need there. So
As
Actually,
soon as
just as I
Steve
said
said
that,
that
with
the
whatever you
frame rate
did,
was good,
it's
it died.
yeah, it's now a little bit behind. Like you're about half a second behind, I think, the audio.
oh my, it's
It's
I
way out of
jinxed it.
sync now. Yep.
All right,
It was
let me
perfect
see.
before.
Good work, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Mick. I jinxed
um,
it.
sure, guys. I don't know. It's supposed to be. It's like showing bad resolution, yeah, and it's supposed to be good. But if you watch on the site, it's gonna be definitely fine there. I don't know what happened here. Let's just see. It's supposed to be good. I can do one more quick tweak here and then we can get started. Let's just see if it allows me to tweak that while we are live. I don't know why it's gone all the way bad like that now. Yo.
I thought maybe it was a hurricane on this side, just the wind's blowing.
All right. Yeah, we also have that because we have mostly wireless internet here. So when the wind blows heavily, it actually affects the quality of the internet. Yeah, for whatever reason, I can't change it right this second. But yo, that is so strange. It was like literally as we speak about it, it starts doing its thing. Let me just try one other thing here real quick. And then I'll just check the settings and then we'll get started. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I might jump off Zoom then and go onto the site.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a better experience. And then I'm just quickly checking out the statistics one more time. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's not great. I'm going to just quickly stop the share. And then let's just see if, because they say also if you go full screen, then for whatever reason, it makes it better. So I'm going to try that. And now the resolution looks good, but then as soon as I start sharing it, let's see what happens there. Oh my goodness, then it drops all the way down. But for the screen share, let's see what happens there. Yeah, that's looking good, but it's just like the frame rate is a bit weird. But if you guys check it out on the site, then it's going to be good there for sure.
Yeah, it's fine on the site.
Okay, cool. We've got a few more things we keep testing and we'll definitely get it right. So, but let's if you guys keep Zoom open, you can chat there if you want. Otherwise, the site is the place, and I'm pretty sure that we are live on the site on the different pages. So, we are good there. Wonderful. So, we didn't have any pre-submitted questions this week, but if anyone's watching on the site live right now, feel free to pop those in the box. And then Mick and Ray, for you guys being here, anything that you guys wanted to ask or chat through before we dig in?
Well, I loved all the work that you did on the new lesson. Number 4?
Yes.
Just great stuff. So encouraging. My goodness. I wish you'd done that 2 years ago.
For sure. Yeah, it's well, thanks for that, Ray. I'm happy to hear that we are experimenting with a few more things, and I think we're getting to the place where we can kind of get I wouldn't say perfecting the recipe, but at least getting it like very close, and then we can just keep iterating on that a little bit. But I think for the most part, with all of the feedback from you guys over the years, we've definitely been able to make some tweaks there, which is great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, for those watching the replay, let me just see if you got folks on the site. I'm just going to go to the questions area, and then if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in. And then obviously for those watching, I can see Pierre and I see Mick and Steve on the site there as well. So, okay, I see Auntie just submitted a question here. And Auntie's saying, when playing 4 twos, one note after another, do you always let both notes ring? Or do you mute the first one as soon as the second one starts? I've noticed that, especially with the first inversion, the notes sometimes sound a bit dissonant when they ring out at the same time. This seems to be more evident higher up the neck. Yeah, that's a great question, so we can definitely dive into that. Let me just get to my camera switcher here real quick. So I'll just make a quick change. Okay, so that should be on a second cam now. And then Stephen is also saying the fingering from the root position triad to sus2 seems quite challenging. Any tips on that? All right, fantastic. Yeah, let's hit both of those. So what Auntie's referring to is that first inversion of the 4-2. And what that basically entails is you've got the third in the bass. So if I were to do this in the key of A, then obviously that's where I will have my A chord. And if I do that in E, it's here. So what I'm going to do quickly is I actually use that in, what do you call it? Worthy of It All. So I can play a little bit of that and then just show you guys what I do there, and I can talk to that. Let me just get Worthy of It All up for us real quick. So Worthy of It All was in C, and I think the version that we did was the Worship Initiative. So just busy loading here. So I tend to play around with how the notes ring out, and I'm just going to play a little bit of the song, and you guys can also tell me what the mix is like for you. But if we just take the intro here, for example, I'll just take it right from the beginning. So if I were to do just 4 twos, and now I'm going to play that voicing. I'll do it one more time. This is the root position. And now it's the voicing Auntie mentioned. So I'll let that ring for a little bit. That's the F over A. So I tend to just let them ring. The dissonance thing can be a combination of a couple of things. It's also how hard you play the bottom note and how strongly that rings out with your chord. And then I've noticed on my guitar, and it's something that definitely bothers me, because it's the intonation. While it's not out, it's not perfect. And to actually get a guitar with like 100% perfect intonation is quite a story, especially if you go down the Bus Phaeton route and all the different ways of like getting the guitar set up with the Plex setups and all those kind of things. But it could also be an intonation thing, because the further up you go on the neck, the tuning changes slightly. So for me, I tend to just play them together, because if I play a song like this one, it's Worthy of It All. The chords are F, and then G, and then F over A, and then G over B. So I kind of like those. A little bit of dissonance is good for me, because then when I resolve it, it sounds cool again. So Auntie, what I would do is, if the note bothers you, in that regard, try play the lower note a little bit softer, because that's the cool thing about hybrid picking, is I can give a slightly softer pick and then a harder, more pronounced flick with my middle finger when I pick that high B string. I'm going to show you guys real quick, or I'll get to that shortly with the tabs. So that's what it could also be, an intonation thing that you are hearing, because I, for example, on my PRS, it is kind of due for a setup at some point again. But then when you set the intonation, you don't have like, moving saddles for the different strings to set the intonation. So they kind of do that in a different way when they work on all of that. But it most likely, what I find on my guitar with what you are talking about, is if I play these triads, yeah, that sounds out of tune a little bit. And it could also be because I haven't tuned yet. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to tune now, and I'm going to play that again. And then you'll hear, if I play that down on the guitar, it sounds fine. But if I play it higher up the neck, so my strings weren't actually out by much. We played last night, but listen to this D. Sounds fine in this one. But listen to the stop one. So you can hear it's a little bit, it's not quite, it's not 100% in tune. There's some notes in there that's like fighting with each other. And I attended the masterclass when I studied in London. It was a guitarist called Amit Chatterjee. He actually, I think he did some vocals on an Eric Johnson album, like way back in the day. So he's like a kind of a shredding guitar player and whatnot. But he's from Indian heritage. So obviously for them, they've got a different scale. And so it's not the whole Western tempered scale and all that kind of stuff. So they've got a different view on tuning. And interestingly enough, what might sound out of tune for our Western trained ears, when we listen to some more of the Eastern kind of sounds, It sounds slightly out of tune to us, but apparently, scientifically, that's more in tune than our Western music, because they've had to temper the scale, the chromatic scale, in order for things to be relatively in tune with each other. But the time that I saw that, how it worked, is he played a C major chord just on a guitar, and then as he played it, he tuned it a little bit, just like the guitars, to make that C like perfectly in tune, so that there weren't any frequencies kind of fighting with each other. And it sounded like the greatest C chord I've ever heard, because it was so in tune. But then he stayed right there, and then he played an E, and then that E was so crookedly out of tune, which then demonstrated the need for the tempered scale, where things are not 100% in tune, and that's why when the further up the neck we go, some things like I just played this D, depending on how loud I play those notes, they're gonna kind of fight with each other a little bit. And that's why I also like the 4/2s, because it's got some space and breathing space in between. So it's a preference thing there, but like, for example, with the rhythms, and I'll pull up the tabs for us, and let me see what the best way is to share that. And for some of those folks who are new, I'm also going to show you something here. Let me just get the chat open so I can see that. Vocal can be louder. All right, here we go. Cool. Thanks, Mick. So I'm going to share this real quick, just so you guys can see the screen. Just find the right thing to go to, and I think it's this one. Yes. All right, so you should now see my screen in front of you. Do you see that? Awesome. Wonderful. So on this, what we've got here is a couple of things. Number one is, this was version 1, when I kind of forced myself to just play the 4/2s. And for those of you who've been with us for a while, you notice that we are playing around with different things. So we're kind of using the vertical chord shapes in order to kind of fit more info next to each other. So if I play this song, then you'll see that it shows the current chord and what the next chord is coming up. So it kind of gives you a look ahead. So that's like for V1, which is kind of like a little bit of a training wheels situation. The second one is when we have our sound slice player with the animated tabs. And that is where, I don't know why that sound slice is like, what's the word? It's just buffering there. I must just double check that out. I did a quick refresh here. But if you, there must be a code issue there, which I'll just double check. But in any case, you can then make the tabs go really big, and you can also kind of change how you want the video, and you can also go ahead and put in the fretboard like that at the bottom. So then if we play any of these things, so there's that F chord I played, G5, and this is the chord that Auntie referred to, which is that F over A. And obviously I'm just doing swells, and then G over B, and then G5 for a quick E minor. All right, so you've got that option to kind of play around with for Sound Slice, when you can see the animated tabs. And then finally, if you click here on download tabs, that button, all right, I must have set a permission on that page. So, but then that'll load up the PDF for you guys, so you can see that. So you've got these different ways in terms of like looking at the chords and the tabs. But if you go and check out Worthy of It All version 2, this is where I played a little bit more advanced stuff and not just limited myself to 4/2s. Then again, the same story there. This time, the only difference is I'm using the vertical fretboard, so that you can see how that's being played across the neck, rather than having that horizontal look right there. So make sure you check that out. And then obviously we've got the tabs. If you wanted to print that out and physically see note for note where I did what, so you can see the intro. There's what I played in the intro was, and we'll get to Stephen's question now. You know, so then you can see physically all the notes if you wanted to like really dive deep into what I did. That's that option. And then at the same time, we also have the animated tab of this one. So if I go big again on the sound slice, and if I hit play, well, I can, if you want to see the fretboard, you just click fretboard down here. And then if I now hit play, and there's a similar chord to the one Auntie was referring to. Anyway, so those are the different ways in which you can engage with the songs. Either you can just look at the video where we baked the shapes into it, if you just want to jam along with me. Or you can download the tabs if you want to print it out and physically see note for note and all the rhythms, because obviously here you don't see the rhythms. Or you can have a combination of sound slice where you see the fretboard, the tabs, and the video. So we're kind of playing around with that, and then you feel free to go and choose what you want there. So in your situation, Auntie, just kind of play around with that with the volume and whatever you're using as it relates to how you are playing that. I tend to let them all ring out at the same time, and I definitely do play around with how hard I play the notes, and you've got that awesome ability to pick notes with a plectrum and then flick notes with the middle finger for hybrid picking. Then you can kind of play around with that. So hopefully that answers your question, Auntie. If you got follow-ups on that, let me know. So it's a combination of technique, how hard you play the notes, and intonation. That's really going to move the needle for you in that regard. All right, so Auntie is saying, thanks, the intonation not perfect on my guitar either. I'll pay attention to the picking dynamics. I think also how the vocal melody goes. For example, the singer goes to the fourth might sound better with the guitar not letting the third ring out. Yes, totally. And that's where your ear kind of comes in, and you can kind of see how you want to complement those kind of things. That's the cool thing about also learning the progressions in 3 different areas. The singer is typically going to sing in one of those areas, because like Auntie's just saying, if I'm playing F over here, then my 5th is right there. That's the note. If I play F over here, then it's the root, and if I play F over there, it's the 3rd. Right? So the vocals will play around one of those areas. So if you just pick where they kind of play, if you want to support them, then you can go ahead and you'll find the vocal is going to happen in one of the 3 areas for the most part, because singers don't do the big leaps, right? They kind of do the stepwise motion. So yeah, it comes down to getting the techniques down and getting the voicings sorted on the neck, and then it's about your creative choices. What you think will work best. Should you swell? Should you support? Should you play lead? Should you play big chords or whatever? And my goal is in that Chord Clinic Masterclass, we've got week 5 and 6 coming up still, because we extended it with 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing more songs and just showing you guys more application using all of the chords that we're learning in the training there. So Stephen is saying the fingering from the root position triad to sus2 seems quite challenging. Any tips on this? Yeah, so what Stephen is referring to there is this. If I play, let's do it in A, the root position triad to that sus2. Yeah, so there's in this case, if I were to play a shape like that, there's no fingers that I can use as anchors, right? Because if I play D to G to B minor to A, then I've got these anchored fingers that I can just move around, and I find it many times when we play worship, I don't even look at the neck, I just play, because I've got my anchors. So it's like a blind man with a cane, right? He's still blind, but he can walk around because he's got his cane to kind of guide him. And our cane, for us as guitar players, will be having an anchored finger on the neck. So, but what Stephen is saying is you've got A like this, and then you go straight to that sus2 voicing. All the fingers have to come off, and then you play that one. So the only tip I can give you for that, Stephen, is I don't place all the fingers and pick them immediately. Sometimes I first get my pinky anchored, and then I can pick it as soon as I anchored it and I picked it. But then I've got a few milliseconds left to then place the other 2 fingers. But if you try and place them all at the same time, that requires obviously your muscle memory to be really dialed in. So give yourself the gift of a little bit of time there, is to find that, especially if it's the lowest note, and then just play it like that. Give yourself that moment to do. Now, if you want an exercise for that, play the chord on G, take it all off A, all off B, all off C. It kind of sounds weird like that, but you just want to give yourself the opportunity to give more at-bats, so to speak, more opportunities to actually play the whole chord from start to finish. So I definitely recommend checking that out for the shape. But the good news is, while you might use it, what's that song? Let me just find the key to play it in quickly. So, Come Lord Jesus Come. I think it's one of Brenton's songs. So you'll know it when you hear it, but it's got that. Something like that, right? So then you can practice it like that, but very often will you actually have to play the third to the sus2 to the sus4 to the third. So you'll probably just grab one of them anyway. So you'll go straight to the trickier version. But that's the one tip I give you, is to play the note, anchor it, and then add the other 2. And then the other tip is, if you look at where my thumb is not there when I play that voicing, because then look how scrumpled up my fingers are. If I just move my thumb, then I've got a better range of motion there. So that's how I've got my thumb kind of pointing to the left. So yeah, it's just a matter of like drilling those voicings and doing them over and over. It's really nice, the sus2 voicings. Like, I don't know if you guys listened to the Worthy of It All, the second version I did. I used those sus voicings quite a lot. And let me see if I can find those tabs, because I'd like to show you guys something. Okay, perfect. I've got it there, so I'm just going to download that real quick. And I'll save it to the desktop, because I want to show you guys how you can start to kind of make up your own chords, you know, so you don't have to always just play any one of these voicings. So if we go to this, let's have a look. I'm just going to replace this real quick so we can see the tabs. All right, cool. So I'm hoping that you can see that, the tabs next to the camera there. Is that big enough to kind of make sense of what's going on there? Because what I'm playing for that Worthy of It All, and I'll play it along with the track, is the chords are F, G, F over A, G, F, G, E minor, F, G, C. So if I just play that along with the track here, I want to show you guys what I did. Just catching the intro. And there's Stephen's voicing. Even though it's a sus4, same size. Right, so a couple of things. The first voicing I'm playing there, it's just, if this was my F, then I'm playing the sus2 there. So it's basically the frets are 10, 10, 8. Let me see if I can do a close-up on the guitar. Just need to find my mouse. It's disappeared here now. Okay, found it. All right, cool. Let me just see if I can change the video. There we go, cool. So, F sus2, I could have played it here, but I played it there. And why is that? Well, like Auntie mentioned before, the melody, if you listen to the melody of Worthy of It All, it's so that note there, which is a G note, is the one that you actually want to go ahead and highlight. So that's why I played F sus2, but check if I go then to the G sus4, and remember that over here it's G sus2, because that's G, there's my third, and then there's my second, so it's G sus2, but over here, it's G sus4. Why? Because this is my triad, with my third right there, and then it goes to sus4. Alright, so if I play F sus2, G sus4, you can see it's that same voicing. Then it said F over A on the chart, so I could have gone here. But see what happens if I go from this G sus4 to F over A there. My highest note now becomes the F. But I heard in my mind, so I made a creative choice that I could leave the G note high as part of the F sus2. But I didn't want to play the F sus2. I wanted to get that A note in there, because F over A then gave me this cool sound there. So this is a voicing I don't use often, but now I've just kind of discovered it. It's a combination of F triad and F sus2, but it's F sus2 over A. So if I play that together, just listen to how the guitar acts like glue, because you kind of hear that G note the whole time. I'll play it again. There's no click track, so I kind of have to just be on top of the song when it starts. Yeah, that G, G sus4. So the first 5 voicings, actually the first 6 voicings, I have that G ringing the whole time. Because I've got F sus2, which is bar 1. Then for bar 2, I've got G sus4. Then for bar 3, I've got that F sus2 over A. And then I've just got a normal G triad, which is this, but I'm doing a hammer on. And then back to F sus2. And then a G power chord. So can you see that? It's 6 chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chords that I'm featuring that high G the whole time. So that's pretty cool when you can do that. Your guitar kind of acts like glue in that moment. And then obviously from there, I went to, after this, I went 4 2s. But then here's something else that if you just follow the 4 2s, and this, as you guys know, if that's what you got, and if you're on that journey, just you wanted to use those like you do, that's totally fine. But check what I would have done if I had read the chart and I just played 4 2s. It would be F, G, C. If I played the E note as part of the 4 2. But if you look at the chart, which is now the final bar on the second stave, I've got 5 5. So I've just got the 4th string to the 3rd string. So it's a 4 3, which we don't call it that, but it's not 4 2, it's 4 3. Listen to the difference. I'm going to play the 4 2 at the end. So F, G, and the standard 4 2. Then that 3rd kind of stands out, and that's what Auntie was saying earlier as well. A note can kind of call too much attention to itself. So if I play the 3rd, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm a major chord, right? It's very, very obvious. But if in this case, I went That's more final, right? Because it's the end of the intro going back into the verse. So you can do that. You don't have to play 4/2s. If your ear hears, instead of going, you rather hear, because you've got choices to make there, and that's why why I did that. Any questions on any of this that we're doing so far with Worthy of It All? Kind of that breakdown, just looking at how you can use sus2s, sus4s, power chords, and all these things together, instead of just kind of keeping it to just plain 4/2s.
As I listen to you, I'm getting an echo from you.
I'm going to fix it quickly. It should be fine now.
As I'm listening to you, I'm thinking it's really, it adds so much color and feeling. And at this point, I have to think about it, but I imagine you feel it, you sense it. You've got enough depth of awareness of what's possible that it comes quite naturally. And so I'm looking forward to getting there.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like this song, because when I recorded these, I try and do two things, which is interesting. And I even do that when I play on Sundays, especially when we're recording, because I'm always thinking, like, how can I use this as a teaching moment, right? Because it's a real world application of something, but then how can I deconstruct it so that it can be taught, right? So when I play these songs, on the one hand, I don't want to think at all. I just want to pick up and go, right? Because like we said, I think Vinnie Colaiuta, right, who said thinking is the enemy of flow. So I just want to be in that flow state and just go. But on the other hand, I want to give myself the constraint to only use the voicings that we've done so far in the Chord Clinic Masterclass, which is what obviously we're busy with right now. So within those two things, I've got a hard constraint. I can only use certain voicings. But on the other hand, I want to have expression. And that's what you're saying, Ray, is, and I'll show you guys the chorus shortly, but then that was something that, and the best way I can describe it is, as I'm playing it, it could be me consciously looking at the lyrics, or it could be me just subconsciously kind of picking up on what's going on. But I want to have a response to that, right? And then I just, the way that I can respond and kind of, while keeping the chords what they are, my phrasing and my rhythm. That's how and also then my choices for where I choose to play the voicings. That's how I can have a creative response there. And it's almost like, I heard someone, I must go and listen to that again. I think it was when Darlene Chick and, I now forgot the guy's name, the guitar player from back in the day, David Holmes, right? So I think it's David Holmes. So they were doing a thing on That Pedal Show, because obviously That Pedal Show, Dan is Darlene's brother, right? So and then David Holmes was just saying that worship is a response. So we want to obviously what God has done for us and all those awesome things. So we want to be able to just respond in a certain way. So I try and get a handful of things, and that's, I go back to David and his slingshot and stones. David Holmes, that's it, yeah. So then I just wanted to be able to do that well and then use that as a response. So if you go and listen to the way I played the second version of Worthy of It All, and I'll play a little bit more of that now, rhythmically, there's a couple of cool things happening. So let me find the tabs and I'll play that for us again. But that's right, Ray. I tried on one part, I'm thinking only use these voicings, but on another part, I'm like, let's go ahead and just have some kind of a response there. So I'll play the song, and then you guys feel free to ask any questions. I'm gonna have to manually to see if my pedal's working. Okay, great. So I'll be able to switch it without hands-free switching. So here we go. I'll just play through Worthy of It All now. G sus4, F sus2 over A. Sorry guys. It's because there's the feedback. I already changed something. So let's go again. It'll be fine now on Zoom. One more time. Cool. Let's pause there for a second. So, if we look at the chords, for the chorus, it said C sus2. So, of course, I could have played C sus2 there, but I liked it here. So, that's my C sus2, if I were to put a bass. But check those same notes. 5, 5, 3 is C sus2. But 553, to go to the next page, is also G sus4. That's why I didn't change it. And then here's another voicing I wouldn't normally have played. But then I played, if you look at the F6, which is now the frets of 3, 5, 3. Yeah, that's F6. It's not written, but because I wanted to get my glue note in there, so to speak, I could play C, 1E. And then G, same thing. I didn't change my chord. F6, just change one note. G sus4. And then a full, kind of just like a reverse upstroke there. So that's it's not the part that leads to the part, if that makes sense. So whenever you're playing sus2s and sus4s, we've seen it in different places where the same voicing can be something else. So in this case, the 1 of the sus2 was also the 4 sus4, right? So that's something cool that you can use. All right, I'll carry on playing. Then I played the melody line, which is all tabbed out there as well.
Oh, see.
And then back into the verse again. There's that F sus2 over A. Then I play the same chorus. G sus4, don't change a chord. 90 octaves. I'll show you that version now. I'll just stop there for a sec because we're going to go into the bridge. So, obviously that 16th note pattern, you guys know that I'm, thanks Mick, I'm quite a fan of these percussive muted stuff because it tells a bit of a story. It brings an emotion that there's rhythmic movement and momentum, and the notes create a feeling. And I think that's what we can be good at as, you know, our role as modern day Levites is to create an environment where people can feel they can respond in an expressive way when they, you know, engage in worship. So that's that percussive, well, syncopated muted part. So repetition again. If you just look at what I'm playing there, I'm doing the same thing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times throughout that whole verse. So that repetition also gives people something to latch onto. And then just interest sake, when I play the F sus2, F6. So that's my C sus2, 5, 5, 3. It's also 5, 5, 3 for the G sus4, but then I play like a bar over there, and then I just use my pinky. So 5, 3, 3, 5, 3, and it's stabbed out there. And then notice the strums. I see that I use these strums quite often. Is that if I play the very last line, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3. It's that 1E and a 2E and a 3. So that rhythmic phrase tend to work well. I also use it before. Okay, I'll show you where I'm using it as well. But then on the repeat of the verse, I could have stayed there and I could have done the same thing. But then I wanted to get a little bit of movement. So then I just played, I think we might just have to add in the slides there on those tabs. But basically it was C sus2. So all I'm doing is, this is C, the chord is C, and I'm going with an octave from C to D and D to E. And you see if I play the D, it's kind of the second of C, so it's still in that C sus2 territory, but then I'll slide up to the third. And then this is a new chord, something that I've only recently started using. We've covered this, remember, in the New Year's Skills Challenge, where normally I'd play G5 like this. And it's nice, but what would it look like if it was on steroids, maybe a little bit, you know? I could add the top note, or I could add the bottom note. Now it sounds really fat. I could have done that too, but then if I get to F, that's too much. You'd agree, but if I just do, and if you look at it, if I play this, it's basically D and G, D and G, and then I mute the G string. And then my rhythm that I'm playing there is basically 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. So that very open strums, and then F5, and then G5. So try that as a power chord if you're looking for some power, but without using like I said, if you played too many strings, right? Or if I just play this G5 and F, it's nice, but they lack that higher notes that you get from there. So it's a combination of these two notes and those two notes, and together they sound pretty cool. And because of the way you fret them, it's quite easy to mute the E string as well as that G string, that can ring out like that. And then in the bridge, this is something that we haven't done yet in the 4-week training, but it's coming up. We are basically doing an open triad, C, and I'll play that over this interlude and bridge part. So it's an open triad, E minor, A minor in the bridge, F in the bridge, C bridge, G, D minor 7, which is just an F, and then F. I do that again, repeat. E minor, A minor, F, C, G, F, but it's D minor 7. And now I want to build, so I'm going to sing along. And then back to where I was. And some more strumming. And then I did some swells here for the end. F, G, yeah, and then it's just the same thing again as before. So yeah, hopefully there's some parts that inspire you to use on for yourself as well, and then at the same time hopefully it's inspiring also to see how these voicings, I did use some voicings in the song to kind of tease what's coming up, which is those open triads and some of the other power chords. But that's basically just to show you, for the most part, all of this is based around the 4/2s as well as the triads. I'm just going to stop something on the Zoom share and let me just turn that setting off, and then you can ask the question. Ray, I just want to. Okay, cool. Go for it, Ray.
You know, I want to say that I actually had an emotional reaction to hearing this. I thought, wow, we're going to a whole nother level. It's like, whoo. And I felt some anxiety. I hope I can make the jump. But let me betray my lack of rock and roll savvy. What recommends an upstrum versus a downstrum? And you know, I love those slides up and down, you know, or down mostly. Yes. But I don't know anything about that. Do you have to start on a note that's within the key, or when do you do that? And how do you know when to do that? And so, I mean, those are such cool little touches, but I don't know how to think about them.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Ray, thanks. Yeah, it's a couple of things. So that's what I try and go for when we play, because when you play certain parts, well, at least that's it for me, it's not so much about, it's about the emotion that something evokes. And that's the way it's been for me. Is like I can just hear a simple melody, or I can hear some crazy guitar playing, and there's an emotion that it evokes. And I try and use that as much as possible to have an emotional response to it and not just play clinically, right? And obviously, when I grew up playing guitar, at some point you go through all these different phases, and there was the Joe Satriani, Steve Vai phase. I even had both of the guitars as well when I was growing up. But then I always gravitated more to someone like Satriani, which he could do all the shredding, but there was always a very melodic sensibility in his playing. Whereas for some of the shredding guys, and I've met a few of them as well, the playing is phenomenal, and what they're doing from a pure technique point of view is just crazy, right? But at some point it loses its impact, for me at least, right? It doesn't hold my attention. And a similar thing happens, like we were one day, we were at a racetrack and they had a race that was going on with some amazing cars. And just when you hear that sound, it's almost primal. It wakes something deep down inside of you, and there's an emotional response that you feel, and you don't even know why. But so we won't go into the philosophical side of that, but I'm looking for that in music. How can we evoke a response in somebody so that they can feel, wow, I can actually go in and worship, you know? So whatever that might look like for you, I think it just comes down to kind of finding, spending time on the instrument and finding a way that you can use that to, you know, get a response, whether it's from your bandmates, whether it's from someone in the audience, or whether it's just for yourself, that authenticity and going through it like that and not having the clinical approach. But, and then for me, because I come from a rock background, for this one, for this song, especially if you look at the version that I played, are you talking about those slides, Ray? Yeah, so those, I just do that because it's like when I take my dogs for a walk. I've got 2 miniature schnauzers, and they're like pulling that leash. They just want to run, and once we get to the beach and I let them go, they're like a bullet out of a gun, and they're just going. So for me, that I was feeling a little bit like that. I'm pulling on the leash. I have to hold myself back when I'm playing because it's not a rock and roll show. But the slides are more there for dramatic effect, and they don't have to be on any note. I just do it like that because it's like, so you're like revving the engine a little bit. We want to go. We're excited. Jesus is worthy of it all. We are able to worship Him freely, yeah. And so that's kind of my response to that. It doesn't have to be on a note. When it has to be on a note, like you'll see me doing it for the... Then you'll see me notate the notes that we are sliding from. If you look at the tabs, you'll see it here. For example, if you look at that melody, I'm just looking at where I play that. There we go. So if you look at this, the third stave from the top, you see a small 6 going into 8. So that's where the note makes a sense. But if I play stuff like... Then I did... You know, I just kind of like slide it down so that... So in that regard, it's just my chord that I'm sliding. And I let it go down. It's just a little bit of a... I guess it's a phrasing thing, right? And it's that's where the thing that we talk about often, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it that comes into play with regards to those kind of things. So give that a shot, just because it's also, it's fun for you to do as well, just to, you know, it's like a throwaway something, right? It's, you know, it's whatever that might look like for you. So within the confines of the rhythms or the chords or whatever, you've got freedom to express, and any way that you can express, I think is a good move there. Hopefully that answers the question, Ray. So when I do these slides, they don't have to be from any note because they can just go. But when it's a chord, I play the chord, I slide it down, or when it's a note sliding into something, it will be tabbed. Yeah.
So I'll just...
Oh, sorry, let me fix that.
Yeah, I'll take off my shirt and imagine your dogs, and maybe I'll growl a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the key word there. You want to growl on the instrument a bit. And some people have said, you know what, when we played, I think once we did some not B-roll, some bed music that was a bit on a rockier side, and then people said, well, that style doesn't fit with, you know, a channel about worship guitar. And but I think the guitar can growl. And if you think, just imagine the sound and what the soundtrack that would play when Jesus comes down again. You know, it's not going to be a harp, it's going to be a thunderous roar. And there are times for when it's gentle harps and whatnot, but I think God's nature is definitely like that. He's a warrior, right? And the Bible says he must train our hands for war and our fingers for battle. And if that's related to worship, then When it's time to growl, it's growl, and when it's time to be gentle and whatever, we do that as well. And thankfully, the guitar can cover all those emotions, which is really, really awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Ray, thanks so much for joining. And Steve and Pierre and Auntie, and saw a couple of guys watching from the site. Thanks for bearing with us. I think we've got a solution now. We'll keep testing, but it's getting better every week. So, yeah, good luck, guys. We're playing on Sunday. We'll be recording some stuff, and then we can come and post that again next week. And if you guys have any questions, reach out via email. And I know I'm a little bit behind on catching up in the forum. I'll be spending time doing that today as well. So looking forward to catching up with you guys over there. Awesome.
All right.
Bye. Cheers, Ray. Bye, guys. Take it easy.